This is Michèle from Jasami Publishing with another podcast of Jasami Bookworm Podcast. And I'm out and about in the world today. I'm delighted to be here at Stirling University, and equally delighted to be chatting with Elaine Knox Watson, who is going to describe the importance of her job and what she does here working with the students at Stirling University. Welcome, Elaine.
Hi, Michèle. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much. I love the grounds. They've changed a little bit throughout from the years I spent here before. So you have a very important job here. You work with students to help them find experience in the real life world. So would you please explain it to our audience?
Absolutely. So my official title here at the university is I'm the Employability and Skills Officer for the Faculty of Arts and Humanities at the University of Stirling. So a big long title, but what does that really mean? Well, what it really means is that my background is that I'm a careers advisor. I've worked for many, many years, maybe more years than I care to count these days as a careers advisor. But for the last 5 years, instead of working in the career service at the university, I have a specialist post here in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, where I'm the specialist employability person for the faculty. The Faculty of Arts and Humanities at Stirling is quite an eclectic mix of subject areas, some of which are what we would call vocational in nature. So we have things such as journalism, or we have law. So for many of those students, the career opportunities are reasonably self-evident, although not always so. But for many of our other subject areas, such as philosophy, English, history, we have many, many subjects such as those that we would call non-vocational. So for those students, it can be much more of a challenge to think about what the future might hold for them after graduation. So my role essentially is to help the students from really the get-go. So from first year onwards, we're very much looking at helping students to think about what sorts of things can they do with the subject that they are studying, what career opportunities might there be, and really helping them to uncover the range of things that might be suitable for them. I think many students come to university, some with fixed ideas of what you can do with a subject. So for example, many of our students who study, say, English, for example, will think that really all they can do is become an English teacher. And while that's nothing wrong with that career area, I think my role is to show them that actually there are so many more things that they may be more interested in, better suited to, and just really open that vista for them so that they can see really the range of opportunity that's available. And sometimes I think my role is very much around the question of, what is it that an arts and humanities student can do when they graduate? I would turn that round and I would say, what is it that an arts and humanities student can't do? Because I think our students have such a wide range of skills, and they have so many transferable skills that they very much can go into so many career areas. That's the exciting part of my role, is showing students that opportunities are endless for them, and I think that's really key to what I do. In particular, where I feel a lot of my work centres at the moment is very much around that challenge of how do students experience the world of work. So while we're here at the university studying their academic subjects and we're trying to show them that range of opportunity, there's nothing better than giving a student an opportunity to actually go into the world of work and actually try out roles that they may have an interest in. So in that way, some of my work centres around providing work-based learning opportunities for students, and in particular I have one module that I'm particularly keen to develop and encourage students to undertake, and that's called Putting Arts and Humanities to Work. And that module involves second year undergraduate students getting an opportunity to actually go out into the workplace, test out their career area that they would love to get involved in, and experience a work placement for a minimum of 30 hours during the semester. It's an academic module, and it very much is one that allows the students to gain academic credit as well. So in that sense, it's something that I think allows them to test the water, test themselves, and really get a sense of what might be out there for the future.
You've created this module, and there's aspects to it. Now, you were talking about reflective journals, which seem very interesting to me, Elaine. Please tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the module is work-based learning, and that's often what the students choose it for because they want to get that work experience. But actually for us it's a lot more than that. It's very much around encouraging students to become what we call reflective practitioners. So it's very much about teaching students how to be reflective. It's about teaching them how to stand back from the experience that they're having and actually think about how can they build on that experience, how can they develop further, and how they can have a growth mindset actually as to how they can move forward. So the reflective journals are a vehicle that we use throughout the module to enable students. There are 3 journals, so we kind of do one sort of at the beginning of the module, one somewhere in the middle, and one at the end, and we're asking the students to chart their progress and to reflect on how they are experiencing the work placement and how they might be able to take the best bits of that and improve and benefit from them. But equally, are there bumps in the road? Are there things that they have found haven't gone so well? How would they be able to develop and improve for the future? And sometimes actually I say to students, sometimes actually we reflect better when we experience a bump in a road rather than when the sun is shining and all is well. Often we just take that for granted and we just don't really take time to think, well, why is that so? So the reflective techniques that we teach students in the theoretical aspects of the module, because we do have some class-based sessions that I teach, those are what we then ask them to use. Those techniques are what we ask them to use to complete the journals. And then we have a reflective final report that the student will produce as well. And hopefully through that journey of learning about how to be reflective, it will not only be useful in the context of this module, but I hope as reflective professionals in the workplace, it will be something that students will be able to use when they go forward. We all want to, in the workplace, be better at what we do, and continuous professional development is really what employers want us to do, and I think nowadays in the world of work the responsibility of doing that falls to the employee rather than the employer. And so we really want our students when they graduate to have an understanding of what it means to be able to reflect well on what we do, build on what we do, and really be someone who's interested in their own professional development.
Absolutely. That is especially key at this point in time because the workplace environment has changed so much over the last 3 years, Elaine. I think that your module will provide the students the opportunity to realize exactly where they want to work. So that reflective aspect is really, really important. So how long has your module been going on here at the university?
Yeah, so this particular module has been running now since 2018. So I came to work in the faculty the year previous to that, and I decided to set this module up at that point. So we've had a number of years now, so we've had this sort of pre-COVID experience of what it was like, and then actually I did have a whole bunch of students out on placement just as COVID hit. That was quite a scary moment where we had to quickly get all our students and make sure that they were all coming back in out of placement and making sure they were all safe. But I was able actually to continue to run the module even through COVID as well, because I had some good employers who were willing to look at the opportunities that they could provide for us in a remote setting as well. So we actually ran it pre-COVID where it was just the regular workplace. Then we went into COVID and we were working remotely. And now as we've come out of COVID, we've actually managed to establish the module in much more a hybrid format. So some employers wanted to revert back to face-to-face, some wanted complete remote, and others want hybrid. And I think that reflects well the world of work. And so I think we are able to accommodate whichever sort of style and pattern best suits the employer. So I think the whole world of work has dramatically and phenomenally changed as a consequence of COVID. And I think one of the key things that the module helps students do is think reflectively, but I also think it helps them think reflectively about their own values as well and what it is that they're looking for in the world of work, because I think COVID stopped many of us in our tracks and caused us to sit down and really think about, what do I really want out of life? What do I want out of the world of work? I've got to work for a long time. I think goodness knows the pension age seems to be moving further and further into the future for most of us. And I think people recognise that they have to work for a long time, so they want to be working somewhere where they're comfortable, somewhere that matches their values, and they feel that they're actually contributing to an organisation, but also they're getting something from that organisation. Not so much in the monetary terms, although that's important, I think, cost of living et al. But I think it's about what are you getting out of the role or the organisation in terms of satisfaction, and what is satisfaction now in the workplace? What does that mean for people in the workplace currently and in the workplace of the future? And I hope that our module in some small way really opens the eyes of our students to these concepts, and I think that reflective practice helps them really think about how they can actually develop themselves and really find the right place for them in the workplace of the future, because I think that's really important for all.
The workplace is definitely changing, and a lot more of it is being done remotely, as we do quite a bit. That offers the flexibility for the internships that we do offer, and that's how we've been in touch with you, Elaine. So we are offering the opportunity for one of your students who is just joining as an intern and will be within that module and will be working with us. That's Sean. We'll give you an early shout out. Have you found differences with the students? Are there any that prefer not to work remotely? They do want to go into offices. What changes have you seen over the last 3 years that the module is run?
I think that's an interesting question, Michèle. I think initially with COVID we had very much no choice in the matter. I think, if students wanted any form of work experience, then it had to be remote. There was no question about that. However, I think as we've moved beyond COVID and into this new kind of era, I think what has been interesting is quite recently I've asked students, what do you prefer? What would you, if I can facilitate a placement for you, what would you prefer? And interestingly enough, a lot of them at the moment are asking for face-to-face. And now I think the reason for that is probably because they've been starved of that for such a long time, and I think very much they've been stuck in their bedrooms, they've been studying in their bedrooms, they've been working in their bedrooms, and everything's been done via the internet. And so I think in the sort of short term, I think that thirst for face-to-face meeting people, being in the real world again, I think is something that many of our students are craving. But I think there is also a recognition on their part that flexibility that hybrid working can bring is something that actually fits the workplace of the future much better. So while I think there's that short-term desire to be back out in the world, as it were, I think there's a longer-term recognition that actually going forward into the world of work, that flexibility that hybrid working can provide, I think is something that our students are growing to recognise is really much more suited to them. I know in terms of their study they prefer that now, and I think in terms of the world of work, I think that's more the direction of travel. I think that will take longer to develop, and I think once everybody's fed up seeing each other face to face all the while again, I think they'll be quite happy to go back and do parts of the role back in a kind of remote setting. And I think that is definitely the way that things are moving forward, and I think there's no doubt about it. And I think that work-life balance for students is much more important, and I think they can see and they can recognise that you can actually have a much better work-life balance if you work much more in a hybrid format.
Something that's very important is attracting potential employers who might be interested. So what industries would you say are the most, and I know there are probably a lot of them, but just off the top of your head, potential employers, please listen up. Who would you, what would you like to say?
Well, I obviously have to be quite selfish and think about arts and humanities students. So for me, back to that quote that I said earlier on about, what can arts and humanities students do? I think for me, it's about, employers recognising the range of skills that our students can provide. And I think it's been really interesting that, philosophy students, say for example, can find themselves in financial institutions working because their ability to think creatively and critically, I think, is key to that sort of sector. But I think equally so, our students can just be as comfortable working in the creative industries. We have many students who go into those areas as well. And I think we have our law students who are going into all the legal sector too. So I think arts and humanities, I think all employers that are out there, please look at arts and humanities students, because I think that non-vocational aspect of what they're offering, it's not so much about perhaps in detail the subject matter that they've covered, but it's how they have studied and how they are able to approach the work that they do, I think makes them attractive propositions for employers in every sector. So if you're out there and you think, take a chance on an arts and humanities student, I'm absolutely certain they won't let you down.
Well, I'm delighted to say that we are doing our bit, and I think that your module, Elaine, is essential in today's society, in today's educational system, because they have the opportunity to go out and gain real life experience before their graduation, which is we've discussed earlier. So that is absolutely key. I want to thank you for taking the time today. This is an actually a little bit shorter podcast than we do, so I might have to come back for part 2. We always love doing our part 2s. Elaine, thank you for the time today. Now I'm going to put you on the spot and say, who would you like to do a shout out to? It can be a group person. At the end, I always say the shout outs.
I think I would like to do a shout out to yourselves, because I would just have to say that our module can only exist if employers are willing to provide placements for us. And so if we have no employers willing to take a chance on our students, to give them that opportunity, we have nothing to offer our students. And I really want to just say thank you very much for providing this opportunity for our student this semester, but I hope that'll be one of many to come in the future, because without gracious employers like yourselves, we just don't have a module to offer. And for us, that's the saddest thing I can think of, if I don't have the placements for our students who really do benefit so greatly from what we can do. In such a short space of time, we can achieve a lot, but it can only be done in partnership with employers. So thank you so much. Oh,
well, you're welcome. And now my head will be too big to get through the door, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. I will do my shout out to Sean and Ella, who are here at Stirling University, and the 2 new interns that are joining us, and they've got some fantastic projects they'll be working on. So thank you to that. That's my shout out. This is Michèle at Jasami Bookworm Podcast. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to download, and in the description we will have the link so you'll be able to get the information from Elaine. Thank you again, and as always, I wish you a sunny day.